with, I think a lot of people is it's almost construed as back.
For decades, Vince Gill's pure, aching tenor has been the soundtrack to our lives. His hands, just as skilled on a guitar, have written melodies that feel like old friends. He's a titan of country music, a Grand Ole Opry member, a Country Music Hall of Famer, and a man so respected they call him the Mayor of Nashville. But behind the sold-out shows and the easygoing smile lies a story of profound struggle. What happens when the man who wrote the songs that healed so many hearts finds himself in desperate need of healing? What if the voice you've loved for decades suddenly faced a future that was completely uncertain? The voice of Vince Gill has been a source of comfort for millions. But right now, the man who wrote some of country music's most heartbreaking songs is living through his own. A series of health emergencies has fans holding their breath, as the country legend faces a battle he never saw coming. Doctors have delivered difficult news, and a shadow has fallen over one of country music's most celebrated careers. This isn't just about a few cancelled shows, it's about a fight for his health, a test of his spirit, and the tough road ahead for a man who has given so much of himself to his fans. To really understand the weight of the challenges Vince Gill faces today, you have to understand the man himself. His story isn't just about fame, it's a story of raw talent, hard work, and a character that has made him one of the most beloved figures in music. Vincent Grant Gill was born on April 12, 1957, in Norman, Oklahoma. In the Gill house, music was everything. His father, Stan, was a judge by day, but he was also a passionate country musician who played guitar and banjo. It was Stan who put a banjo in his young son's hands and sparked a fire that would last a lifetime. Young Vince was mesmerized, a fly on the wall, during his dad's jam sessions. It didn't take long to see Vince was gifted. After mastering the banjo, he quickly picked up guitar, fiddle, dobro, and mandolin. He was already a seasoned performer in a local bluegrass group called Mountain Smoke before he was even old enough to vote. After high school, he hit the road to chase his destiny, joining the respected Bluegrass Alliance and later playing in Ricky Skaggs's band, Boone Creek. These years on the bluegrass circuit were his university, sharpening his skills to a razor's edge. In 1976, he moved to Los Angeles and got his first taste of the mainstream when he auditioned for the rock band Pure Prairie League. He got the gig and became their new lead singer. With Gill on vocals, the band scored a major pop hit with Let Me Love You Tonight, showcasing his smooth, soaring tenor to a national audience for the first time, but Gill's heart was always in country. In 1982, he joined Rodney Crowell's legendary backing band, the Cherry Bombs. That move brought him into an elite circle of musicians and, in 1983, led him to Nashville. After signing with RCA Records, his debut album earned him the Academy of Country Music's top new male vocalist award. But superstardom didn't happen overnight. For years, he had only moderate success, but he became one of Nashville's most in-demand session musicians, lending his guitar and harmony vocals to albums by Reba McEntire, Emmylou Harris, and even Dire Straits. This cemented his reputation as a musician's musician. The turning point came in 1989 after he switched to MCA Records. He released the album When I Call Your Name. The title track, a stunning ballad of heartbreak, shot to number 2 on the charts. It earned Gill his very first Grammy and a CMA for Single of the Year. The floodgates had opened. The 1990s were a decade of complete dominance. Vince Gill was a constant presence on country radio, releasing a string of multi-platinum albums and charting more than 40 singles. The awards were staggering. He has won 22 Grammy Awards to date, the most of any male country artist. The CMA honored him with 18 awards, including Entertainer of the Year in both 1993 and 1994. Incredibly, he won Male Vocalist of the Year for 5 consecutive years from 1991 to 1995, a feat no one else has ever matched. Beyond the trophies, he cultivated a reputation as the nicest guy in Nashville. He hosted the CMA Awards for 12 straight years with a warmth and wit that made everyone feel like a friend. He was inducted into the Grand Ole Opry in 1991 and the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2007. He's a philanthropist and a collaborator who has appeared on hundreds of albums with everyone from Dolly Parton to Barbra Streisand. He is, at his core, a man of immense talent and deep humility. And it's that deep connection with his fans that makes the news of his recent struggles so hard to hear. Long before his own health became a headline, Vince Gill was no stranger to heartache. His life and music have been shaped by loss and the quiet strength it takes to get through it. In 1993, Vince's older brother, Bob, died of a heart attack. To process his grief, Vince turned to a song he had started years earlier after the death of fellow country singer Keith Whitley. That unfinished song became "Go Rest High on That Mountain." It was a tribute that turned into a eulogy for his brother. He poured his faith and pain into the lyrics, creating an anthem of comfort for anyone who has ever lost someone, but life was about to test his strength again, this time with his beloved wife, Christian music star Amy Grant. Theirs is one of music's great love stories. After his marriage to singer Janice Oliver ended, he found love with Grant. They married in 2000, blending their families and lives. But in 2020, their world was rocked by a series of health emergencies. Ironically, it started when Vince went to a cardiologist for shortness of breath. The doctor told him his heart was fine, he was just out of shape. But then the doctor turned to Amy, who was with him, and suggested she get tested, pointing to her family history. She reluctantly agreed. The results were a shock. She had a rare congenital heart defect called PAPVR, a condition her doctor warned could become catastrophic. Amy called it a ticking time bomb in her chest. In June 2020, Amy underwent open-heart surgery to fix it. For Vince, it was agony. Due to COVID protocols, he wasn't allowed to be there during the surgery. "It was the worst day of my life, scariest day of my life," he later said. He had just lost his best friend of 50 years 3 weeks earlier, and now he was forced to wait at home while his wife's heart was in a surgeon's hands. Just as they were recovering from that trauma, disaster struck again. In July 2022, Amy was in a bicycle accident, hitting a pothole and getting thrown from her bike. Though she wore a helmet, she hit her head so hard she was knocked unconscious for 10 minutes. The crash caused a traumatic brain injury that required hospitalization. Vince immediately canceled his shows to be by her side. The recovery was long and difficult, filled with memory loss and balance issues. A cyst in her throat also went into hypergrowth, forcing another surgery in January 2023, after which she had to learn to sing again. As Vince put it, it was just one thing after another after another. Through it all, Vince was her rock. Amy described him as just steady. When she was at her lowest, he was the one who gave her hope. He said, "Things happen to people every day, and you just have to take one day at a time." "I love you," Amy recalled. He was living the words of commitment so many of his songs were about. But as he was guiding his wife through her darkest days, his own health storm was quietly gathering. Just as the family was starting to breathe again after Amy Grant's terrifying health battles, the focus of their anxiety shifted. The man who had been the unwavering caregiver was now the patient. The phrase, "It's not looking good for Vince Gill," started to spread, not as gossip, but out of genuine concern. For years, Vince had been privately managing his own health issues, but things were escalating. The first public sign came around the same time his wife's heart condition was discovered in 2020. Doctors found that Vince himself was living with a heart condition. While the specifics of his treatment have been kept private, it was serious enough to require medical intervention and force a confrontation with his own mortality. For a touring musician who lives for the stage, the prospect of a long recovery was a harsh reality. Doctors urged him to slow down and rethink the grueling pace he'd kept for decades. This led to cancelled shows and a much more selective performance schedule. It was a wake-up call from his own body that the demands of his career were taking a serious toll. Then, just as he was learning to manage his heart condition, another crisis hit. This one sudden and excruciating. In late 2023, Gill was struck by a kidney stone. The pain was so incapacitating it required immediate hospitalization. The timing was awful. He was forced to cancel several high-profile concerts and, most notably, his performance at the CMA Awards. The news broke on the CMA red carpet when the brothers Osborne revealed they were filling in for him. John Osborne explained, "Vince Gill, unfortunately, was in the hospital. He has a kidney stone." Gill's daughter Jenny later confirmed he was awaiting surgery. The suddenness of it sent a wave of concern through Nashville. Here was a man who was the definition of reliable, suddenly sidelined by a medical emergency. These major health events weren't just isolated incidents. They were the breaking point in a longer battle against the wear and tear of a life in music. This period was also marked by profound personal loss, as he mourned the passing of close friends and bandmates, adding another layer of grief. The impact on his career was immediate. Cancelled shows and missed appearances became the new normal. For an artist who finds so much of his identity on stage, stepping back was a difficult but non-negotiable adjustment. The man who always gave his all now had to learn to save some of that energy for himself. The crisis was real, and the road ahead looked uncertain. Vince Gill has written the soundtrack to our lives. Now, as he faces these challenges, he needs our support. If his music has ever meant something to you, take a moment to subscribe for more updates on his journey. And please, share your thoughts and prayers for Vince and his family in the comments below. Let's show him the love he has shown all of us. In the face of health crises that would have made many quit for good, Vince Gill has shown a resilience that's as inspiring as any of his songs. While headlines have focused on his illnesses, the real story is one of quiet determination and a passion for music that refuses to be silenced. His path forward isn't about getting back to the past, but about forging a new one. One that respects his health but is fueled by his spirit. Despite the seriousness of his health issues, Gill's focus has been on getting back to what he loves. This isn't a story about a man giving up, it's about a man adapting. One of the most incredible signs of his fighting spirit is his continued role in the legendary rock band, the Eagles. In 2017, after the death of Glenn Frey, Gill was asked to join the band. Even with his recent health scares, he has remained a vital part of their lineup, even participating in their huge residency at the Las Vegas Sphere, a venue that demands incredible energy from its performers. This shows that while he may be more selective, he is still performing at the absolute highest level, but he has also expressed a strong desire to refocus on his own solo career and release new music. For Gill, music isn't just a job, it's who he is. The drive to write, record, and connect with his audience through his own songs is still there. He knows he has to find a new balance, but the fire is far from out. His perspective is one of grounded optimism. He doesn't ignore how serious things are, but he chooses to focus on what he can do. He continues to show up for the Nashville community, mentoring younger artists and supporting charitable causes. This generosity, even when carrying his own heavy burdens, is the truest measure of the man. His family remains his anchor. His journey with Amy through her crises forged a bond that is now his greatest source of strength. He also finds incredible joy in being a grandfather, calling his grandkids the complete light of my life. In those moments, he isn't a country superstar battling health issues, he's just a grandpa, filled with love. The road ahead for Vince Gill will probably look different. It will be a career managed with more caution. But it will also be a career defined by an unwavering passion and a fighter's spirit. He isn't fading away, he is recalibrating. The love from his fans has surely strengthened his resolve. Vince Gill is looking forward, guitar in hand, ready to write the next chapter of his incredible story, one day at a time. When you look at Vince Gill's last few years, it feels like one of his songs, full of love, loss, faith, and resilience. We watched a man known for his strength become a rock for his wife, only to then face his own serious health battles. A heart condition and an emergency surgery for a kidney stone forced him to step back from the spotlight in a way no artist ever wants to, but the story of Vince Gill is not a tragedy. It's a powerful testament to the human spirit. He has faced every setback with quiet dignity and a deep commitment to his family and his music. He's adapted, touring with the Eagles and making plans for new solo music, all while carefully navigating his new reality. The title, "It's Not Looking Good for Vince Gill," speaks to the very real concerns about his health. But maybe a better title would be "Vince Gill Fights On." He continues to find joy in his family, peace in his music, and purpose in connecting with his fans. His legacy isn't just in platinum albums or Grammys, but in the incredible strength he's shown when life got hard. He remains an inspiration, not just for the songs he sings, but for the life he leads, one of grace, courage, and hope.